I'm willing to accept that the Great Pyramid was largely completed by the ancient Egyptians. But remember that the ancient Egyptians tell us in many of their texts that everything they knew was a legacy.
In a far-off desert, scientists stumbled upon an astonishing discovery. Deep beneath the shifting sands, scientists discovered a lost civilization in the desert that no one ever knew existed. For hundreds of years, this lost civilization remained hidden, leaving no clues about its existence. Now that it's been found, everyone is filled with wonder and curiosity, eager to uncover the secrets of this long-forgotten world. Where did this extraordinary civilization disappear? And what secrets do their ancient cities hold? Join us as we uncover the mystery of this lost civilization that has been buried in the desert no one knew existed. The Nubian Civilization. The ancient Nubian society, located along the Nile River in what is now Sudan and southern Egypt, is one of Africa's oldest and most interesting cultures. This impressive civilization eventually declined, but some of its people moved to Egypt, bringing with them a long history dating back to the Stone Age. Nubia is known for its complex social structure, advanced building skills, and active interactions with ancient Egypt. The story of Nubia's discovery and its importance in archaeology is fascinating, especially its connections with Egypt in the 19th century. When European powers were expanding their influence across Africa, scholars and archaeologists often joined colonial expeditions. They initially focused on the ancient wonders of Egypt, which were captivating and widely admired. Eventually, these explorers turned their attention to modern-day Sudan, where they uncovered the rich heritage of Nubia. While there had been some archaeological work in the Sahara Desert, it was limited. Richard Lepsius, a leading German expert on ancient Egypt, played a key role during his Prussian expedition from 1842 to 1845 by thoroughly documenting Nubian artifacts. His careful records and detailed drawings provided a deep look at Nubian archaeological treasures, revealing many previously unknown sites like temples, tombs, and entire settlements. However, these early explorations faced challenges. Adventurers endured harsh climates and navigated periods of political instability. Additionally, their initial views of Nubia were often affected by colonial biases, causing them to underestimate the sophistication of the Nubian civilization. Unlike their neighbors up north, the Egyptians, Nubia had a complicated relationship with Egypt that swung between conflict and cooperation. Nubian kings sometimes ruled Egypt, especially during the 25th dynasty, also known as the Nubian dynasty. This period is crucial for understanding how Nubians greatly influenced Egyptian politics, culture, and religion. Pharaoh Taharqa, a notable ruler of the Nubian dynasty, oversaw a thriving time marked by impressive building and cultural achievements. He carried out extensive construction projects in both Egypt and Nubia, blending Egyptian and Nubian artistic styles, particularly in places like Thebes and Karnak. The rediscovery of the Nubian dynasty has been important, showing that Nubians were not just conquerors, but also contributors who significantly improved Egypt's infrastructure and cultural richness. Looking more broadly, Nubia and Mesopotamia show interesting similarities. Both civilizations thrived near major rivers, the Nile for Nubia and the Tigris-Euphrates for Mesopotamia, which provided fertile land, supporting large populations and the growth of advanced societies. Like Nubia interacting closely with Egypt, Mesopotamia developed its own rich cultural exchanges and political changes. In ancient times, Mesopotamia had active relationships with its neighbors. They traded ideas and goods, but also fought battles. Mesopotamia is well known for its tall ziggurats and for being one of the first to extensively use bricks in buildings. Meanwhile, Nubia is famous for its impressive pyramids and large temples. Both regions developed their ways of writing. Mesopotamia used wedge-shaped writing, while Nubia used the Meroitic writing system. These writing methods were important for their governments, religions, and cultures. Today, they remain significant for archaeologists and historians studying these ancient societies. Imagine trying to communicate with people thousands of years in the future. Simply writing something down might not be enough if they can't understand the language or writing method. This challenge highlights the importance of the work done by George Andrew Ryner, an archaeologist who made significant discoveries in Nubia in the early 20th century. Ryner's excavations in Nubia, supported by Harvard University, greatly expanded our knowledge of the ancient kingdom of Kush. This civilization, sometimes an ally and sometimes a rival of ancient Egypt, had long been surrounded by mystery. Ryner's scientific approach set new standards for archaeological methods in the region, influencing future digs and our understanding of ancient cultures. Ryner's groundbreaking work involved excavating at Kerma, which he found to be a key cultural and political center of the Kingdom of Kush. This discovery was important because Kerma's significance had been overshadowed by more famous Egyptian sites. At Kerma, one of the most notable finds was the Difa, a tall structure made of mud bricks that remains one of the world's largest and oldest of its kind. Ryner suggested that the Difa served both religious and possibly administrative purposes, a topic still debated among scholars today. Further digs in Kerma's royal burial grounds revealed valuable insights into how the Kushite upper class was buried. The tombs uncovered a collection of items, including pottery, gold, and bronze objects, which revealed much about the advanced culture and extensive trade connections of the Kushites. Additionally, evidence of human sacrifices at these sites suggested that the Kushites took part in complex religious ceremonies, showing the depth of their spiritual beliefs. Ryner's exploration also showed that Kerma was a well-planned city with homes, factories, and strong defenses. This layout highlighted the advanced societal structure and strategic importance of Kerma within the Kingdom of Kush. This discovery offered a new way of looking at how city planning and architectural progress were handled by the Kushite civilization. It challenged the idea that Nubian culture was always below ancient Egypt. Instead, Ryner's research highlighted the special qualities of the Nubian civilization. It showed how they had their unique cultural achievements and demonstrated their ability to influence and govern large areas, including parts of Egypt at different times. Ryner's careful approach to excavation and his detailed recording practices set new standards in archaeology. He pioneered the use of layers for dating purposes, which greatly improved the accuracy of understanding the timeline of the sites he explored. His work has had a long-lasting impact as a key resource for future research on Nubia. It continues to encourage archaeologists to further explore the complex history of Nubia and its ties with other ancient civilizations. As we explore the details of this ancient society, Ryner's contributions stand out as very valuable. They provide a solid framework not only for understanding Nubia's history, but also for grasping the broader stories of ancient civilizations around the world. The rediscovery of Nubian pyramids and the efforts to protect Nubian heritage after the building of the Aswan High Dam have offered deep insights into this ancient civilization. Archaeological discoveries often come unexpectedly, such as during road or railway building. Nubian pyramids are notably different from their Egyptian counterparts. These structures are known for their steep, narrow sides and smaller bases, ranging from about 6 to 30 meters across. In comparison, Egypt's Great Pyramid of Giza spans more than 250 meters at its base and is built with horizontally laid stone blocks in stepped layers. Typically, a small chapel at the pyramid's base faces east and contains offerings, along with a stone slab featuring writings about the deceased. These burial practices give further insights into ancient Nubian culture. The pyramids in Nubia tell a lot about the Nubian people. They weren't just places where royalty and elites were buried. They also showed off how wealthy and powerful the Kushite rulers were. These pyramids were built to reflect a hierarchy and religious beliefs that were influenced by Egyptian traditions, but had their unique aspects. The art and writings inside these pyramids give important information about what the Kushite people believed and how they lived. They often contain prayers and spells that are similar to Egyptian texts, but were changed to fit local customs and gods. This shows how the Nubian religion combined different ideas. Comparing Nubian and Mayan pyramids is also interesting. Both civilizations built pyramids, but they had different reasons and designs. Nubian pyramids were mainly used as tombs for royalty. They were tall and narrow, made of stone. In contrast, Mayan pyramids were broader and less steep. They were used mainly for religious ceremonies, with rituals and sacrifices taking place at the top, which was reached by climbing steps. Ancient Fortress of Masada. Masada is an old fortress located in southern Israel, sitting on a high, flat-topped rock called a mesa. It overlooks the Dead Sea and is about 20 kilometers east of Arad. Built by King Herod the Great between 37 and 31 BC, the fortress includes 2 palaces and several defensive improvements. The dramatic story of Masada is told by the Jewish historian Josephus. He described a fierce Roman siege from 72 to 73 AD during the First Jewish-Roman War. According to Josephus, the Jewish rebels known as the Sicarii chose to commit mass suicide rather than surrender. However, some experts question this story due to gaps in archaeological evidence. Today, Masada attracts around 750,000 tourists each year. From 2005 to 2007, and from 2009 to 2012, it was the second most popular site in Israel, just behind the Jerusalem Biblical Zoo. Geologically, Masada is a type of cliff called a horst. The fortress is surrounded by cliffs, with a drop of about 400 meters on the east and 90 meters on the west, making it extremely difficult to access. The mesa's flat top is roughly diamond-shaped, measuring about 550 by 270 meters. Herod built a 4-meter-high wall around the plateau with defensive towers. Inside the fortress were storehouses, barracks, an armory, a palace, and large cisterns that could hold up to 40,000 cubic meters of rainwater. 3 narrow paths led up to the fortress, each protected by fortified gates. Much of what we know about Masada comes from Josephus and the Judean desert documents. Josephus claimed that the Hasmonean ruler, Alexander Jannaeus, first fortified the site in the 1st century BC, but no evidence of these early structures has been found. Herod took control of Masada in 43 BC, and between 37 and 31 BC, built the impressive fortress as a secure refuge, including 2 palaces and plenty of supplies. In 66 AD, the Sicarii, a radical Jewish group, captured Masada from the Romans using a clever strategy. These rebels, known for their extreme actions, also attacked nearby Jewish villages. By 73 AD, Roman governor Lucius Flavius Silva and his legion had surrounded Masada, building a massive siege ramp on the western side. After several months, the Romans broke through the fortress wall. Josephus reported that when the Romans entered, they found the defenders had set fires to most buildings and committed mass suicide. Only a few women and children survived. Josephus's account has some inconsistencies with archaeological findings. For example, he mentioned only 1 palace and 1 fire, while multiple palaces and evidence of several fires have been discovered. Despite these differences, Josephus accurately described features of the site like the baths and cisterns. Later, during the Byzantine period, a small church was built at Masada, linked to a monastic settlement. Nearby Yoram Cave contains well-preserved ancient barley seeds, offering insights into early barley farming. Masada was rediscovered in the 1830s, with extensive excavations conducted from 1963 to 1965 by Israeli archaeologist Yigael Yadin. Due to its remote location and dry climate, the site had remained largely untouched for centuries. Many ancient buildings, including Herod's palaces and the Roman siege ramp, have been restored. Yadin published a book in 1966 titled Masada, presenting the findings to the public. During the excavations of the Masada synagogue, archaeologists discovered an ostracon with the inscription Ma'aser Kohen, meaning tithe for the priest. They also found fragments of ancient scrolls, including parts of the Book of Deuteronomy and the Book of Ezekiel, hidden in pits beneath a small room in the synagogue. Other biblical text fragments, including Genesis, Leviticus, Psalms, Sirach, and the Songs of the Sabbath Sacrifice, were also uncovered. In front of the Northern Palace, 11 small pieces of pottery were found, each with a single name. One of these names, Ben Yair, might refer to Eleazar ben Yair, the leader of the fortress. The other 10 names could belong to men who, according to Josephus, were chosen to kill each other and then themselves during the final days of the siege. Archaeologists found the remains of up to 28 people at Masada, possibly 29, including a fetus. 25 skeletons were discovered in a cave outside and below the southern wall, while 2 males and a female were found in the bathhouse of the Northern Palace. The age of the males varied, estimated between 16 and 40, while the females were around 17 or 18. The remains of the males were incomplete, and only the female's hair, cut with a sharp tool while she was alive, was found. This practice, described in the Bible and other ancient texts, was a way to mark captured women. The braids suggested she was married. Anthropologist Joe Zias and forensic scientist Azriel Gorski believe these remains might belong to Roman captives taken by the rebels. The 24 people found in the southern cave were initially thought to be Jewish defenders, but doubts persist. The remains were reburied as Jewish in 1969. Textiles and pig bones found with the remains suggest they might have been Roman soldiers or civilians, as pigs were sometimes associated with Roman burials. Some researchers question whether all 24 individuals were present, as only a small fraction of bones was recovered. In the early 1960s, archaeologists found a 1,000-year-old Judean date palm seed at Masada, which later sprouted into a date plant named Methuselah. It was the oldest recorded germination until a new record was set in 2012. As of February 2024, it remains the oldest germinated seed. Excavations also uncovered a Byzantine church from the 5th and 6th centuries. However, no architectural remains from the Hasmonean period were found, except for coins from Alexander Jannaeus. Some researchers think certain structures might date to the Hasmonean period because they resemble buildings at Jericho, but no conclusive evidence supports this. According to Shay Cohen, Josephus's account of Masada is flawed. Josephus described only one palace, while evidence shows there were 2. His descriptions of the Northern Palace and the heights of walls and towers are also inaccurate. The archaeological finds, including the skeletons in the cave and evidence of multiple fires, contradict his account. Josephus wrote that the Roman siege of Masada from 73 to 74 CE ended with the mass suicide of 960 rebels. Some scholars dispute this, and Eric Klein suggests that Josephus might be recounting a similar event from the siege of Yodfat, where he and another soldier chose surrender over mutual destruction. Masada was named a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2001. In 2007, the Masada Museum in memory of Yigael Yadin opened, showcasing artifacts from the 1960s excavations. Visitors can hike up steep trails or take a cable car to the top. The hiking paths, like the Snake Trail and the Roman Ramp Trail, are very steep, so it's advised to start early to avoid the extreme summer heat, which can exceed 43 degrees Celsius. There is also a light and sound show on some summer nights. On May 2015, a tragic accident occurred when 20-year-old American tourist Brianna McHam fell while hiking the Snake Path and later died from dehydration. Masada is a prime example of Herodian architecture. Herod's first construction phase included the Western Palace, smaller palaces, barracks, and a swimming pool. The second phase added the Northern Palace, a grand structure with living quarters, a reception hall, and a bathhouse. The final phase enclosed the entire site with a casemate wall and extended the Western Palace. The story of Masada inspired the Masada Plan by the British in World War II to defend against Erwin Rommel, though it was abandoned after Rommel's defeat. Israeli Defense Forces, IDF, Chief of Staff Moshe Dayan, started a tradition of swearing in Israeli soldiers at Masada with the promise, "Masada shall not fall again." This ceremony now takes place at various historic locations,